This is John Lauder, host of The Cheap Seats. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media.
You're listening to Catch Up, an official news production of Public House Media.
Today is June 12th, 2020, and it's time to catch up on the news that you need to know.
Today, we're helping you catch up on politics, sports, and media news. And as always, we'll end on a positive note with your daily dose of good news.
All of this and more coming up alongside correspondent Max Wolfoff. We're your hosts, Kylie Thompson
and Dan Kotnick. Welcome to Catch Up. Let's begin with our top news story of the day. A former judge and now court-appointed attorney John Gleeson, hired to review the Justice Department's handling of the case against former Trump NSA advisor Michael Flynn, released his analysis Wednesday. Gleeson's analysis comes after U.S. District Judge Emmett Sullivan appointed him to review Michael Flynn's testimony under oath and argue against the Justice Department's request to drop the case against Flynn.
In his 82-page statement, Gleeson called the handling of the case by the Justice Department a gross abuse of power, stating the department abdicated its responsibility to prosecute defendants without fear or favor by attempting to provide special treatment to a favored friend and political ally of the President of the United States, and in doing so has undermined the public's confidence in the rule of law. The statement echoes what many critics of Attorney General William Barr and President Trump have alleged.
Flynn pled guilty in late 2016 before federal judges to lying to the FBI about his contacts with the Russian ambassador when he asked Russia not to retaliate for Obama administration sanctions for election interference and to split from the Obama administration on an upcoming UN vote on Israel. Attorney General Barr made the decision last month to drop the charges against Flynn, with the Justice Department arguing Flynn's lies weren't material to an investigation, since Flynn should have never been under investigation for his interactions with Russian officials. We now welcome in Catch-Up News correspondent Max Wolfoff to discuss this further. Max, I think the thing I first want to kind of pick your brain on is how much weight does this analysis really carry in the overall scheme of the Michael Flynn investigation?
Well, so much of this investigation hinges with this particular case on the Rule 48A of the Federal Rules of Criminal Procedure, which was brought in the 1940s to prevent unilateral executive dismissal of charges against any criminal defendant. Now, part of that was to prohibit prosecutorial harassment of criminal defendants, where the prosecutors would drop one set of charges and then refile another set of charges immediately after. That isn't the case here. This is a case of the executive department, especially the DOJ, being accused by this former judge of having political favor in favor of Michael Flynn being an ally of the president. That is part of what most of the brief is designed to call out the Justice Department on, saying that the DOJ has abdicated its trust in the judiciary. And part of the reason that this rule exists is to put that little extra barrier to allow the court to say, we give the prosecutorial team permission to dismiss the case, not allowing the executive branch of the government to unilaterally say, we no longer wish to prosecute.
So, Matt, I guess the next question is, what's the step that comes after now that this analysis has come up? Is it now up to the Department of Justice to respond, or is it now in the court of Judge Emmett Sullivan to take the next step?
Well, it's actually not even in the court of Judge Sullivan. It's in a federal appeals court in the D.C. Circuit, which they will hear this case Friday in order to see whether they should dismiss the case without allowing Judge Sullivan to conduct any kind of review of the DOJ's requests themselves. So this now sits in an appeals court in D.C., and this is entirely the province of the judges on that panel to see whether or not former Judge Gleeson's analysis is swaying of the court enough to deny the prosecution a chance to dismiss the charges.
Well, Max, thank you so much for your time, and hopefully when more of this develops, we'll be able to bring you on to talk more. Thanks again.
No problem, guys. Thank you.
What's new in the media world today, Kylie?
All right, Harry Potter fans, brace yourself. J.K. Rowling, the author of the iconic Harry Potter series, is under fire after she tweeted a thread of tweets that have been interpreted as transphobic. The tweets were made on June 6 in response to an article entitled Opinion, Creating a More Equal Post-COVID-19 World for People Who Menstruate. Rowling tweeted, quote, "People who menstruate? I'm sure there used to be a word for those people. Someone help me out." End quote. The trans community has found this tweet harmful and offensive. In an NPR opinion piece written by Mallory Yu, they wrote, "And here I am, a person who once revered Rowling, a person who is also in the community that she invalidated with a few careless tweets. We are quite literally people who menstruate, and it's more than a little disappointing that the woman who created a wizarding world that meant everything to me doesn't care to include me or my community."
Since these tweets were sent out, Rowling has received tons of backlash. NBC conducted an interview with various people affected by these posts by Rowling, including Petruius Raymond Ash, who said, quote, "If anything, Harry Potter has taught me that no one should have to live in the closet. It's very disappointing with J.K. Rowling's tweets that are very transphobic because when we read the Harry Potter books, it helps us escape in a way," end quote.
Since the incident occurred, various actors in the hit movies have spoken out, including Daniel Radcliffe, the star of the series. Radcliffe, who doesn't appear much on social media, wrote a heartfelt response to Rowling's comments in a blog post for the Trevor Project, a nonprofit organization for suicide prevention for LGBTQ+ youth. "Transgender women are women," he wrote. "Any statement to the contrary erases the identity and dignity of transgender people and goes against all advice given by professional healthcare associations who have far more expertise on this subject matter than either Rowling or I." Rowling has also released a thread of tweets attempting to backtrack from her internet faux pas, but it doesn't seem to be working as of yet. I am a huge Harry Potter fan myself, so I'll be following the story closely to see what unfolds next. Now let's bring it back to Daniel to discuss the most recent NASCAR news. Over to you.
NASCAR announced Wednesday that it would be banning the display of the Confederate flag at all of their sponsored events and properties. In a statement, the racing governing body stated, quote, "The presence of the Confederate flag at NASCAR events runs contrary to our commitment to providing a welcoming and inclusive environment for all fans, our competitors, and our industry. Bringing people together around a love for racing and the community that it creates is what makes our fans in sports special. The display of the Confederate flag will be prohibited from all NASCAR events and properties," end quote.
The move comes 2 days after driver Bubba Wallace, NASCAR's only black driver across all three national series, called on the organization to do so. Wallace commended the move ahead of Wednesday's race in Martinsville, in which Wallace raced in a car with a Black Lives Matter color scheme. Several drivers, including Danny Hamlin, supported the move.
The Confederate flag has been an issue for NASCAR in the past. In 2005, former chairman Brian France tried to ban the flag, angering many fans as the flag has been a familiar sight at events since its inception 72 years ago. NASCAR did not state how the policy would be enforced when fans are allowed to resume attending events in person, or what, if any, penalties fans would face if they defied the policy. Now, so we can end on a happy note, let's take it over to Kylie once again for your daily dose of good news.
Cancel culture is something that has been going viral on social media for quite a while, but especially in the midst of COVID-19. This idea of cancel culture is when someone does something deemed bad or an event that is negative happens and social media takes its toll, stating that this person or the event is canceled or irrelevant from here on out. With all of the negative news lately, as well as the pandemic, many have deemed 2020 canceled. But as of a few weeks ago, a poem has gone viral that @Leslie D. White on Instagram posted. The poem, which has gone viral all over social media, states, "What if 2020 isn't canceled? What if 2020 is the year we've been waiting for? A year so uncomfortable, so painful, so scary, and so raw that it finally forces us to grow. 2020 isn't canceled, but rather the most important year of them all." To read the whole poem, make sure to check out the post on Instagram and get your daily dose of inspiration.
Thanks for catching up on today's news with us. I'm Dan Kotnick.
And I'm Kylie Thompson. If you liked what you heard today, make sure to tune in Monday, June 15th to kick off week 3 of the Catch Up podcast. New episodes air Monday through Friday and come out at 5 a.m. Central Time.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts.
For even more content, follow Catch Up Digital on social media. Just search for @TimeForCatchup.
We'd love to hear your thoughts on any of the stories we covered today. Just use the hashtag #PassTheCatchup on social media.
Catch Up is an official production of Public House Media.